it is time to start a new vlog. Hello everyone, welcome back to A Fictional Escapist. My name is Chris and today's video is going to be the July vlog of 2024. We're going to do our very best to make it a more positive vlog than the last two that we've had here on the channel. There will still be some health stuff. I'm going to go get the heart halter monitor on Monday, so very likely you will see that. At the time of filming, it is currently the 11th of July, which means we'll go for 10 days and go to the 21st, and I'm aiming to have this vlog out before the end of the month, so you actually get to see it in more real time than waiting a couple of weeks. So, just a really quick intro clip because I do need to get to work and get breakfast, as it is a work day. I will let you know what I'm reading. So currently I'm in the middle of a few things. I'm hoping this vlog will see the end of these three things and then also the start of another three things, but we'll see how we go. The first one that I'm currently reading is The Bartender Between Worlds by Herman Steuernagel. I'll put it up there. This is an arc that I received, a book that is coming out on the 23rd of July, so I'd like to get that read and reviewed before release date. I'm having a really good time with it. I'm about 60% of the way through. It's a cozy fantasy. It's got more action and more story than I was really anticipating in it, but it's a very comforting feeling fantasy, hitting a lot of those familiar beats while also giving something unique. So in terms of me not really gravitating towards cozy, it's giving me enough to enjoy it in terms of that plot and that storyline as we follow Emma and her companions through a multiverse, and get some cool cocktail recipes along the way. So that's been really good so far. The other thing I'm reading is an alpha read for Ricky Smith called The Line Unsundered, and I'm about halfway through that one as well. It's just a little novella. I read it initially when it came out. Well, I read it when I started Bookstagram, and it's now been enhanced with another 20,000 words. Something that I said in when I gave a review is that it felt like there was a bigger story there, and I can really see that the author has put in the work just in this first 50%. So I should finish that in the next couple of days as well. And I'm also listening to a memoir by Chanel Miller called Know Your Name. This is about the Stanford trial that happened of this young woman who was sexually assaulted, and just the failings of the system is and her journey through that. And it's horrific. The book is horrific. I'm hating every second of it, but I think that is why it's important to read. It makes me really upset and angry for all this is still happening in our day, and I think it's a very, very important read, but it is taking me some time to get through because it is heavy and it is read by the author and the victim, of the case. So it's, like I said, incredibly important to read. There are some times in your life when you just sort of need to shut up and listen, and this is one of those times. So making sure I'm taking it in, making sure I'm really listening to the messages that are in that book. But it is hard, but it needs to be because the topic is something that's still very relevant to women today, and it's unpleasant, and we need to be listening to those voices because it's the only way to make it better and to make sure we're checking ourselves to make the world a safer place for people around us. That being said, I said this was going to be more positive, but sometimes you need to check yourself, and listen. But there are a few more things that I want to start in this vlog, maybe even finish. We'll see. We've got 10 days to play with. The first is going to be Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard. This is the naked hardback by Caden Love. Look how cool his artwork is. Done by his wife. That's amazing. So this is the Kickstarter edition. I backed it earlier this year or late last year, and it's come in. So I'd like to get this read. It's about 450 to 500 pages, I think, from memory. So hopefully we'll finish that one in the vlog as well. We'll see how we go. Then I would also like to start Darktown by Palmer Pickering. I read this at beta stage, so I'm looking forward to reading this one now as a completed. It is now out in the world. People are loving it. I'm gearing up to hopefully be part of the second team, the team for the second book as it starts going through those stages and getting ready for beta reads. So I'll be reading that one just to freshen up. And I would also like to start, but I'm definitely not going to finish, maybe not even finish this month, is Toll the Hounds by Stephen Erickson. So I've been putting this off because I haven't been ready for like another super long read. And I also know that this spine is about to be beat up by the time I finish it. But if I can get to about halfway by the time I go to Brisbane in early August, I can then switch to the ebook. So I'm hoping to start it, maybe get the first book or so done before the end of the month. We won't see that in this vlog, but that is the aim, is to start that one. And then I'll couple that with a couple of the novellas that I have on the Kindle. So that is A Sunset Sovereign by Laura Huey, and also Samurai Reborn. Yeah, Samurai Reborn by Jaden Tellis. So we'll see what we get read. There's a lot of ambitious plans for reading in this vlog. My housemate has now gone to her work in the mines, so she'll be gone for 2 weeks. I don't know if Rachel and I have much plans over the next 2 weeks outside of sort of working on our stuff. Another thing I would like to get done, I promise I'll stop rambling after this. My goal is to have edited my book ready for alpha readers before I go to Brisbane. So in the next 10 days, my aim is to edit the first 100 pages. I'm currently at page 25. I did 5 pages this morning. So hopefully we'll get to page 100 by the time this is over. Anyway, that's enough of me rambling about what's going to be read, but hopefully we'll have a good 10 days, and I will see you in the next clip. Good morning, team. It is Friday morning. It is 7 a.m, but the sun is nowhere to be seen here in Perth. I'm sure it will come up while I'm driving. 7 p.m, 7 a.m. I slept poorly because I was up reading, and that hasn't happened to me in a hot minute. Normally I'm very regimented, but I feel like everyone here knows that already. But I was up until 11 o'clock reading last night. I finished 2 things yesterday. So I finished The Bartender Between Worlds, which I'll chuck up there, by Herman Stuernagel. This was so charming. It was such a nice book, but it had enough for me to, even though it was cozy, absolutely, and it was rather unique, it had enough plot to keep me going forward and wanting to keep turning that page. I find sometimes when books are cozy for cozy's sake, it can... Oh, it's breakfast time. I'm about to be bullied. Oh, she's gone into the cupboard where the breakfast lives. I will be there in a minute, my love. I sometimes find when books are cozy for cozy's sake, it can lose me unless they're very short, but The Bartender Between Worlds was absolutely delightful, and I just wish people pick it up because it's got a lot of substance to it. There's a lot of really nice messages inside of it, and I don't know what more to say. Like, I don't want to give anything away. I think this book is such an experience and such a unique experience that people need to go and pick it up. The artwork in it is incredible. There are drink recipes in there, which is unique. This is all about someone who wants to be a bartender, whose magic is centered around the elements of creating something for people to enjoy in the form of cocktails, and I thought it was just really, really sweet, and maybe want to pick up a couple of other cozy fantasies like Cursed and Cocktails, I think it is, that may be in a similar vein. I also love that tavern and that bar setting in my fantasy stories, so that felt very homely to me as well. I just had a good time overall. And the other thing I finished up last night, which kept me up late reading, was A Line Unsundered by Ricky Smith, and this is a re-release of a novella that I read a couple of years ago. It is so good. I'm so impressed at how much the author has grown from the first novella, which was already pretty good for a debut. It just needed more. It needed more of the story to make it hit home, and he's gone ahead and he's done that, and it's had the desired effect. There were very few notes at an alpha read level that I could give him that I felt would make the story better for what he was trying to achieve. I think it's already very good. So I finished that and I sent it off. It's like a political fantasy with a royal line and magic and some family relationships which are very complicated, and it was just stuff that I love to read, so I had a very good time with that. Today I am heading into the office, so normally when I do the in-office days I don't get a whole lot of time to read because I am working. I mean, I'm also working at home, but it takes out the 2.5 hour commute of the day. So I'm hoping to start Jalen Tellis's Samurai Reborn. I think it's about 97 pages. I'll put the cover up here. Yeah, we'll see how we go with that. But this weekend I'll try and get the 2 novellas that I want to read done and also start Elegy. of a fragmented vineyard. But yeah, that is the update for this morning. I'm gonna go make a smoothie and hopefully not wake Rachel up. Grinding the oats can be very noisy, so I'll close all the doors first. But I'll catch you in the next update. Bye. Right, I'm back in the kitchen. I'm about to cook dinner, but I thought I'd give a quick update before I do that. It is Saturday evening at 5:30 p.m. It's very cold. We've just put the heater on. The house sounds like it's about to take off because the washing machine and the dryer are on, but that's fine. Dinner tonight is a black pepper tofu. Never made it before. We'll see if it's any good, but we have tofu, peppers for the Americans, capsicums over here, and onion in the house. So that will be what it will be. I read the novella Samurai Reborn by Jalen Tellis today, and it was interesting. It's always interesting to get a review copy that I didn't necessarily vibe with it. I ended up giving it a 2.5. I can see the story there, and that's where it gets interesting for me as a reviewer to be as honest as possible, while also being very conscious that a author has reached out and asked me to read and review their book. So I gave this one a 2.5. It needed a good edit, if I'm being honest. I found the sentences were very clunky. Like, some of them were fine and the structure was fine. Some of them were clunky. It was very repetitive in terms of some of the language that was used. For example, if someone's name was in it, that name was used every time we referred to that person rather than interchanging like a pronoun to break it up. So I think the name Genji was used like 14 times in one page. It was a lot. It also was very tell and not show. And I find that even with those short stories where we're following quite a classic tale, or a tale we've heard a long time. So this is a revenge story, like a samurai revenge story, sort of Asian-inspired, military-esque. Genji, it's told in 2 timelines. I really liked the timeline differences and the swaps, so we got to see how he grew up as a child, leading him to where he was on this revenge tale. I thought that was a cool element to it, but it really was sort of the prose and how fast everything moved for me personally that didn't quite work. So it's hard to write those reviews because the story is there. It just didn't gel for me personally. So yeah, ended up at a 2.5. So it was only 97 pages. I think if it was more, like if it was a 350 page book, I probably, unfortunately, would have DNF'd it. But because it was so short, we ended up going through. So I'm gonna go cook dinner now. Tomorrow, I don't know what's on the cards. I've got some writing sprints happening. I am still only 25 pages into editing this manuscript. So my weekends are Sunday, Monday, and I'm hoping to get some editing sprints in and getting up to page 50. It's a big ask, but I don't have much else on except for maybe trying to get Rachel to brunch because I love a Sunday brunch. But yeah, we'll see what happens. I'll catch you in this clip. I have an amazing habit of putting on laundry as I'm about to film an update. So we're gonna hear that. Also, I swore I wouldn't wear this shirt in another vlog, but it is just staple clothing, so it is what it is. It's also loose, and I've got the chest monitor on right now. So it is Monday, 1:32. I've just gone and had the chest monitor put on. You can see stickies there. If you're interested, I will show you what it looks like, but that will mean I will be shirtless in the next clip, which is not something that everyone needs to see. This is a booktube channel. I'm very nerdy and pasty, but if you're genuinely interested in what one looks like and how it works, I will show you what it looks like and then tell you how it works after this clip. But for now, it's a reading update. So I finished Know My Name by Chanel Miller this morning when I was going to the gym. It's a very, very powerful and uncomfortable read, which I think is super important for people to read. There was one thing that really struck out to me in the book, and it was just like a line, and it was that both can be true. Someone can be a good person. Someone can be someone who helps people across the road or carries in someone's groceries or is a, straight A student, and the opposite, or that person is capable of terrible things like sexual assault. those two parts can live within a society of person. And I think that's so relevant to what we're seeing now, all this stuff about Neil Gaiman and other authors that have come out, keeping it relevant to the book space, but it doesn't matter whether it's books or, actors, people in the public spotlight. It both can be true. People can believe that they are good people, and they can also do terrible things. There's a huge conversation to be had there about art versus artist and whatnot, but we won't get into that today. But yeah, it was such a powerful book. I cried. I'm not very emotional. I have had an experience before, and I think that I never really given myself permission to explore that, and it just opened some doors in my brain that maybe needed to be opened. I don't know. It was very, very powerful, and I think that regardless of gender or identity, it's an important read for anyone. So I'm glad I finally read it. It will probably stay with me for a very, very long time. The other thing that I've read, or I'm in the middle of, is Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard. I've just 196, so I'm nearly at halfway. The aim is to get to halfway today. I've only got like a chapter or two to get to that point, which is great. So I'll get there. This is also a read that I didn't really know that I needed. And again, another personal story, so click away if you don't want to hear about my life. I have struggled with faith as a concept for a very, very long time. The reason being is that I love faith. I love how beautiful it can be. I don't know what my own beliefs are personally. I probably fall somewhat more on the spiritualistic side than towards any religion, but this book deals with faith in such a respectful way, and that people can have different faiths, and those different faiths can be respected. We don't need to go to war over what somebody else believes, but there are also ways in which faith can be used to be weaponized, and it can also be a very, very beautiful thing. And again, both sides of that coin is true. So it's scratching an itch, like I said, that I didn't know I had. I think it's been done in such a unique way, because often we come into fantasy stories, and I love religion and I love faith being talked about in fantasy tales, but often it is that entity which is being used as a weapon and is being talked about in a way where the faith is often something that is used to justify shitty actions. And that is true. That is something that does happen within religious. We have extremists, no matter what religion you turn to. But I've never really seen it done in a way where the conversation is open and it's respected, and I just really appreciate that. This book is also so dark and dealing with a lot of heavy messages, but it's very, very easy to read, and I'm having a great time with it. In terms of audio, I don't really know what I'm going to pick up next. I'm unsure. I did just buy Last Rock, or use my Audible credit on Last Rock by Phil Tucker, so maybe that, but we'll see. Anyway, this is your warning that I'm about to take this shirt off. I won't show you too much. I'll show you the little stickies and the little thing that I have to click a button if I feel anything weird. So if you don't want to see that, I don't blame you. Just move on. I'll put timestamps down below. All right. This whole concept is very odd. I don't think I've been shirtless in a video since I showed top surgery results. Anyway, people who are here for the health stuff, I now have a 24-hour Holter monitor on. I've got somewhere for the microphone to go, which is great. So you can see the sticky up here. I've got another two. There is one on my side over here, and there is one up here on the area that this situation is happening. These are all connected to, I'm trying to show too much of myself, all connected to this little doohickey here. So what this is if anything weird happens, or one of the events happen that I have been experiencing over the last few weeks, there's a button that I need to press. So this is monitoring the whole time. I think a little thing comes out of it, and they stick it in a computer, and it just shows what's been going on for the 24-hour period that I'm wearing this particular thing. But if I feel any of the events happen, I just hit this little button. I actually think it says event. It does. And then I have like a diary that I can go ahead and put, like I can write down the time that it happens, and this will just say the event is happening. Let's come back up here. I've already had two, which unfortunately I didn't tap because I was driving at the time. And I don't know whether it's just because like blood pressure is feeling a bit weird, because I was in a surgery getting felt up by a very lovely cardiologist lady who was putting sticky shit on me, and I had to like shave part of my chest hair, which is very upsetting. It took me 5 years to grow those hairs. However, that's a story for another time. I will say very quickly positive stuff on the health side of things, because there is some news, and I can't remember if I said it earlier in the video, and I apologize if I have and I'm repeating myself. If not, you'll get to know it now. Is I went back to the doctors last week to get some blood results. So I did like the kidney diet thing for about 12 weeks, and part of that was going to Sydney and doing all that stuff, and that's where all the heart things came in, thinking that it might be diet related, and not going on the diet for that week and causing some havoc with liquid buildup and things like that. But anyway, I went to the doctor to get my results, and I am up function. So the EGRF, whatever the fuck the number is, I'll put what it's actually called down here. So last time I was at 63, which meant that I was sort of on the cusp of stage 3 kidney disease or chronic kidney disease. I'm now at 79 as per the last blood results, which is fantastic. It's gone up 16 points, which means that I'm now firmly in stage 2. And the aim for us is to keep that in stage 2 and to try and maintain stage 2 for as long as humanly possible. Because going through the stages basically means dialysis. So we're trying to avoid dialysis in the long run. So that's good news. It means that the diet and stuff that I've been doing, so going plant-based, is definitely having an effect. Again, I'm sorry if I've already mentioned all of this, and if I have, I'm just going to cut this out so you don't need to see my white ass on the screen. But yeah, good news for that, which is fantastic. But anyway, this will be my life for the next 24 hours. I have no idea how I'm going to sleep, but I'm sure we'll get through it. So yeah, if you're interested in the heart monitor situation, this is it. And I'm going to go put my clothing, my microphone just, I'm going to go put my clothing back on, so that'll make everyone more comfortable. Okay, bye. I just finished filming a video where I go through all the book ones in my house of series that I want to read that I own, and I had to split it in two because there's some there. There's some there. There were 40 books just on shelves that you can't see. So anyway, there's that. Other news is I've been editing my manuscript because I want that to be done before I go to Brisbane in August. It's slower. It's a lot slower than I thought it was going to be. I originally anticipated doing like 5 pages a day. I wanted to be on page 50 by the end of today. I'm on page 42 or 43. I've added another 4,000 words to the book because details need to happen and I'm just not great at it. So hopefully the world building is a bit better. But just realized the mic is still on and I'm not using it. Anyway, yep, it's slow going, but let's see where we get to at the end of this because I still want it to be at page 100. It means I'm really going to have to amp up my game and start editing morning and night if I'm going to do like 5 pages a day. But we'll see how we go. Anyway, catch you when I finish Elegy. Okay, bye. We're in the kitchen again. Shocking. It is Thursday morning, the 18th, I want to say. Just finished an editing sprint and I finished Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard. Also, I didn't realize there's a little baby up on the top here, which is very cool, very subtle art touch. That toast is going to pop any second. I'm making breakfast before work. Elegy was something else. I think this is a 5-star for me. And I don't often like go and message the authors if something is fantastic. Mate, do I? Am I that guy? Maybe I am. I have to do some soul searching on that one. But this book gave me something that I didn't realize that I was looking for, and that was just a conversation, a very refreshing conversation, there goes the toast, about faith and spirituality and just letting people be and letting people be happy and what they believe, as long as it's not harming people and that you don't have to agree with it necessarily, but you also don't have to go and shit on it because of somebody else's belief system. Is it affecting you? No, leave them alone. And yeah, it's faith. I think I mentioned it before, is something that I struggle with, coming from, people who don't like my existence, but also really liking that sense of community, really loving the idea and the concepts behind faith. So I tend to stick in the more spiritual camp, but it just gave me something that, I didn't really realize I was looking for. And following these three people, so I can't remember the young lad's name, Yetrick, but we had Fenmir and Ari. I don't know if I pronounce those correctly. And they're all sort of from different walks of life, but they all share a goal from different perspectives about stopping these harvests or making sure that these harvests continue to happen. So for those of you who don't know the story, it's children can be born with a third organ or a second intestine or something like that, and they're called endowers, and they get harvested and put into other people because these organs have a special ability, and the justification for these murders is that they don't necessarily survive the first year, but there's also like a group of endower children who have survived. Anyway, and there's a lot of politics around why this is good versus why this is bad. Should it be stopped? Should it be allowed to continue if these children are going to die anyway? What is the harm in doing that? And all of that. And I found this to be such a philosophical, dark fantasy with political elements that has faith at the forefront of its storytelling, and the theme is very much around that faith. I thought it was fantastic. And it also just, I guess as I get older, I'm saying that as someone who's coming into, I'm about to turn 33. The author, when they wrote this book, was 24. I think he's only 25 now. And it's really cool to start seeing these conversations happen with younger generations and younger people who have different life lessons than I do, and listening to those and trying to take those away. I know I sound like an old man. That's fine. But, we are at a point where we have these, I was going to say kids, they're adults. I'm just old. Have these different ideologies and these different ideas, and sometimes they're better than the ones that we have, and you can learn from them. And that's really important, is to keep that open mind, which I think is what fundamentally this book is saying. Keep an open mind and respect people. Anyway, that's enough rambling about it. I'm going to go make the toast. I had a good time. Today I'm going to try and read The Sunset Sovereign. I don't know if I'll finish it today because I need to get editing my own book. I'm on page 56. I'm hoping to get either another chapter done or another handful of pages done tonight, taking me up to 60. And I've also been playing like Valheim flat out. So that may just take over. What is sleep? Do I need sleep? I have to go into the office tomorrow. I have not been sleeping well because I've been playing Valheim. Anyway, it is peanut butter, banana, and golden syrup toast time with some coffee. That sounds delightful. I'll see you in the next update. I've been procrastinating going to work for the last 25 minutes. It's an hour drive. I have to leave. But I checked the mailbox because yesterday was too dangerous with like cyclonic winds. What is happening with this light? I'm normally pale. I'm not normally this pale. Anyway. Stu, S.K. Putt, sent me a copy of his novella, A Reckless Courage. I was lucky enough to beta read this one. It's a really cute story. Well, it was when I beta read it. I haven't read it since it's been edited and come out to the world. But it is about a couple, from what I remember. I can't pronounce their names unless I look up the pronunciation in here, but it was one of those stories which was very emotionally impactful about this couple and grief. And what are their names? Orslag and Orvar. I probably pronounced those incorrectly, but anyway, thank you, SK Putt, for sending this one my way. What a great way to start a Friday morning, and now I can go to work happy, which is just fantastic. Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday the 20th, so we've got 2 more days of this vlog, today and tomorrow. Just been to the gym and done an editing sprint. This lighting is not fab. The curtains aren't fab either. They are the next thing to go when we have more funding for house things. I just came in to do a bit of a reading update. I don't think I did any updates yesterday except for the Stu's book that I got in the mail. I, in all of my wisdom, have now started another 3 books, with a 4th one to be started tomorrow. So, what are we reading right now? So I finished the Elegy of a Fragmented Vineyard by Caden Love, and then I was going to pick up The Sunset Sovereign by Laura Huey, and I didn't. Well, I have now, but I ended up picking up Darktown by Palmer Pickering. This is to gear up to start betaing book 2, hopefully later this weekend, if not next week. That light's going to be terrible for that book cover. Sorry for not doing it justice. I read 100 pages of that. This book is such an experience physically. It is just, I don't know how, I don't think I've been this happy reading a book, like genuine feelings of joy reading the book, because it is full to the brim of artwork, which just makes this such an interactive and immersive experience. We're following Temerity and Half Pint the Goblin as they start going through the Dragons game. This is level 1, so Darktown is level 1. And it's so fun. It's like picking up a game. It's got that nostalgic feeling of picking up a game when you're young, that excitement, that want to adventure, that want to escape, and it's so beautiful. It's very accessible. I would say if you're looking to get into lit RPGs, this is a great starting point for people new to fantasy, people just wanting to have a bit of fun, unapologetic, just a good time. And that's bringing me lots of joy. The tagline is part cozy, part bloody, all the fun, or the cozy and bloody are the other way around. But and that's it. Like, it's got enough plot, that it's action heavy, that it's not that it's not dark, but it's also not dark, if you know what I mean. Like, it's just there to have fun. So I have now picked up The Sunset Sovereign. I've read the first 4 pages, I think. It's a short book. I think it's only 127 pages. So the first 4 chapters, I don't know if I said pages before. Love it. It's so beautiful. It's so different. We start with someone who goes to this dragon's cavern to slay the dragon and get rid of it because it's causing havoc. And the dragon basically goes, but I want you to listen to my story. And it's a memoir of this dragon and this dragon's life. I haven't gotten to like the storytelling part of it yet. I think that's in the next chapter. But I will, and I'm very much looking forward to that. Then, for some emotional turmoil, I picked up the audio for Legacy of Brick and Bone by Crystal Matar. I've listened to the first 3 chapters on the drive to work yesterday while driving to and from. That will take me a hot minute to get through, just because I don't listen to audio all that often. My retention for audiobooks, I did arms today, sorry, I need to stretch that arm out to re-hold the camera. My audio retention is still not great, so I'm basically only listening to it when I can. So it might take a hot minute for that book to get done. And the one that I'm starting tomorrow is going to be Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. So Ryan and I read very differently, and this is something we'll cover in the podcast. He is an annotator and a note taker, and I am not. I just read for the experience, and I might take a couple of notes at the end to get my thoughts, but I generally don't, so it'll be very interesting to actually read with him in the same room and see what our different styles look like. Anyway, the lighting in here sucks, and my arm is dead. So I'm going to go have breakfast, have a shower, and start work. I'm sorry this looks like a clip from like the Blair Witch Project. You're all too young to know what that is. Anyway, I'll catch you in the next clip. Hopefully I'll finish something before the end of this vlog, which is tomorrow, but we'll see. Bye. Happy Pancake Day to all who celebrate. It is Sunday, the 21st. Here, and I think I'm actually going to get this vlog edited this week. If I finish filming today, I should have it out on Thursday, which is exciting because I don't think I've ever done that before. Anyway, my life has been taken over by Darktown by Palmer Pickering. So I beta read this a while ago, and now I get to experience this beautiful edition with all this artwork in it, and it's just so captivating, and I am so enamored with what both the author and the artists have done and created in this lit RPG. It feels like an addictive video game. It's fun. It is bloody. Like I think I mentioned in the last clip, the tagline is part cozy, part bloody, all the fun, and it hits those notes perfectly. There are stakes, there are high stakes, there is danger, but it still feels so homey and comforting with this notion of found family and wanting to get back to your own family, but also not wanting to be tied down and wanting to have those adventures. And like, there's no real risk of dying in the game, because if you die, you go back to the beginning, you have to start it all again. So like, it sucks like a video game, but our characters are in these high stakes situations and you're not worried about them perishing forever because they'll go back to the beginning of the game. You obviously don't want that to happen, and the stakes are there to try and not make that happen, but you are comforted by the notion that they're probably not going to die yet. It is a book one in a very long looking series, so we'll see what happens. But I just think it's been done really cleverly, and I'm having a fantastic time with it. I stayed up so late. I'm on page 260. I was on page 100 yesterday. And I only started reading it when I finished work. Anyway, that's what's happening. I'm hoping to finish this today before we go to Ryan's in a few hours' time, but I also do need to go and pick up the groceries, so I should listen to a little bit more of Legacy of Brick and Bone by Crystal Matar while I go and do that. We'll see. This book goes very quickly, especially because there is so much artwork in it, but for now, I'm going to make the pancakes for Rachel. I probably won't finish it today. I'm going to try. And then I'll give you a last clip, which will either be some point tonight or tomorrow, and then, yeah, that'll be the month vlog. Okay, I'm hungry. See you in a bit. I have finished Darktown with 10 minutes to spare. This book is so good. I think I could have read it in 2 sittings if I didn't have work and other things, but I finished the last 150 pages today. It's now 12:50. I have 10 minutes to get everything ready to go and leave the house, because we're due at Ryan's at 2, and it's a bit of a drive. I loved it. I loved this so much on the second time around. More things were added to it. There was a couple of scenes which have been beefed up, one thing that I don't think was there before, and I just had such a good time. I'm lucky enough to be on the beta team for The Swamp, which is the second book, and I have that in my inbox now, so I'm very much looking forward to getting to it. I will need a day break just to get out of reading for pleasure and reading for just the experience mode, because beta reading is very different for me, or I say very different, it's just different. So for this one, I was just reading purely for pleasure, taking in as much as I could because I want to make sure I'm informed going into the beta read. But when it comes to beta reading, I really need to be paying attention. I'm checking for continuity, I'm checking if things make sense. I'm reading this as a non-final version of the product. Palmer's writing has always been really clean in these beta reads that I have done, so a whole lot didn't have to change with Darktown, in my opinion, but what has really enhanced the story in it and is so good. So I'm very much looking forward to The Swamp, but I'm just going to need a bit of a palate cleanse of my brain to be able to do that. So we're about to head over to Ryan and his partners. I'm going to be taking Annihilation, the Southern Reach trilogy, to start over there. The book itself is 157 pages, 160 maybe, and I know that it's a bit weird and a bit wild, and I'm looking forward to it, but I will probably read it relatively slowly to do that. The only thing I didn't get to that I wanted to in this vlog was The Sunset Sovereign by Laura Huey. I did start it. I got to 15%, and I should hopefully finish that one tomorrow, the rest of it up, but it won't be in this vlog. And the other thing was Toll the Hounds by Steven Erikson, which I'm looking at starting towards the very end of the month. Excuse me, it's currently the 21st at the time of filming, so I'd probably say maybe I'll get to that one around the 25th or the 26th to start, and hopefully, fingers crossed, finished it before we leave for Brisbane on the 8th of August, but I'm also hoping to finish The Swamp before we leave for Brisbane, so we'll see. We'll see what happens there. Anyway, this is a much more positive vlog, so I hope that you enjoyed it. I'm going to get it out quickly as well, so you'll see it more in real time than the other vlogs in the past. I haven't decided if I will vlog in August because I'm away for a lot of that time, whether we'll do a Brisbane vlog, but it is going to be very filled with family and friends. Like, there's not a day where we're just sitting down doing nothing. So in those times I will be reading. I've got some very exciting reads coming up for August, but I am anticipating a much slower reading month just because we have all that stuff on. In the beginning of September, I'm back in Sydney for work, potentially in Melbourne, depending on what happens there with travel requests and things like that. My team is all over Australia, so I do need to travel occasionally, and there's another training course happening in September, so we'll see. We'll see what happens. Uh, Today, yeah, going talking podcasting things, going and hanging out, having a few brewskis in the evening, which will be a lot of fun. I've got a talk with Connor and Crystal Matar tomorrow, which will be a lot of fun. And yeah, talking podcast things. Website for the business is about to be launched. There's another little project with a few authors happening. It's not an anthology. Sorry, everyone. Anthology is not happening, at least not yet. But that should be announced sometime late August, September as well. So lots of things in the works right now. Anyway, I'm going to go sign off because I need to get the dog ready and get Rachel ready to leave this house in like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And I'll see you in the next vlog. If you like the content, give one of those. If you want to see more of it, click subscribe at your will. I'll catch you in the next one. Ciao.